right. Welcome to This Kaiju Life Live. I am Nobilis Reed. I am the producer and primary narrator, and I'm also the chief cat herder on this little project. So let's get started. Audio diary, May 29th. Yes, I know. May 29th, 2021. Despite the largest kaiju getting loose near the Great Lakes since that giant cockroach thing attacked Cincinnati in 1974, I made the dubious decision to drive up to a small town in Ohio named Chakoja, somewhere southwest of Akron. Chakoja was an Irish town settled in the early 1800s and had one of the oldest Irish stone churches for miles around, St. Clodagh of Rogers. But better than that, you could rent it out. They even offered a soft serve ice cream machine near the main vestibule. My cousin Bob was getting married, which was a bit of a surprise, actually. Growing up, cousin Bob was the older kid, like way older. I think he was in his 20s, still sitting at the children's table at Thanksgiving because he was single and short enough to blend in with the rest of us kids. He was already balding, something us kids naturally pointed out, and Bob was accommodating to the rest of us by nodding as we spoke to him. Naturally, he got beat up a lot. Somewhere between the movies Highlander and Braveheart, Bob became obsessed with his Scottish heritage, as dubious as that was, and started wearing kilts to family gatherings. I don't doubt there's some Scottish in our family line, given how a bunch of us came over in the late 1700s to the newly formed United States. But we've all become an assorted grouping of Caucasian mutts that can only reliably trace our family roots as far back as Grandpa Willie's memory. And he went senile sometime during the Reagan administration.
It says to turn right at the first left after the right fork.
We had been driving for hours. We got a late start because the sitter we hired for dog flaked at the last minute, so we had to find an alternative. Thankfully, Anita was willing to sit dog for a few days, and her new dog, a strange pug she called Jolie Lade. But we missed the shuttle bus the bride's father had rented for us, so we had to drive there ourselves.
I know that. I was with you.
This is for my audio diary, Julie. Oh, I can't see anything because of this rain. Every place here looks the same. What does the GPS say?
It says we're getting closer. Look at that creek, Jim. It's practically overflowing.
Yeah, there's a flood alert for the whole valley. Sugar Creek is supposedly flooding.
What's the name of the hotel again?
Sugar Creek Castle. Technically, it's a La Quinta, but it's also a historic landmark.
Oh, there's a sign. We only have a mile to go.
My cousin Bob insisted that the wedding be Scottish, which meant the entire set of groomsmen and ushers had to wear kilts and sporrans. This caused some consternation among the family, who apparently was very against wearing skirts. The conservative bent of my family was so stubborn that many of the women in the family soap up their mirrors and reflective surfaces when they take baths so they won't have to see their naked bodies. I don't know if the rest of us have to wear a kilt, so Vince loaned me one of his.
Yeah, and I have the red hair. I should fit in if I wear a beret. Thank goodness you're always summarizing right before everything.
Yeah. So anyway, we finally arrived at Sugar Creek Castle La Quinta Inn, which, to be honest, looks more like a La Quinta than a castle. It was where my cousin was hosting the various wedding events and the only hotel even remotely nearby. The parking lot was filled with various beat-up cars from the surrounding areas in the Midwest. I parked next to my parents' car, which seemed fitting. It was pouring rain, so I went into the lobby to get our keys so Julie didn't have to get wet. After I got the reservation settled, I ran into cousin Bob. Literally.
Ow, my nose.
Oh, sorry, didn't see you there.
Is that some sort of joke?
No. Anyway, congratulations on the blessed event. You two must be very happy.
What's that supposed to mean?
It means congratulations, and I wish you and your wife happiness.
Yeah, I suppose. You're with the wedding party?
Yeah, remember me? I'm your cousin Jim from DC.
Honestly, I never did keep track of you all. There are so many. Remember, you can't just bill the wedding party. This is not an open bar. You pay for your own food and drinks until the reception. And then only for the food. One dish is complimentary. Then you must pay for the rest and one slice of cake per person.
That's when I fully remembered there was a reason Cousin Bob got beat up a lot. After that welcome, I went back to the car, fetched Julie, who didn't stay dry at all, but had been dancing barefoot in the rain while I was getting the keys.
Whee!
Let's get the luggage.
Come on, Jim, dance with me.
I hate getting wet, mostly because I worry what it does to the phone in my belt holster. I sort of half-assed a dance for a few seconds while Julie laughed. We got our luggage, checked into our bland but clean room, and dried off.
You look angry. Come on, we're here. Wedding.
Cousin Bob is an ass.
So you said.
He looks really stressed, which sadly makes me want to beat him up even more. We haven't seen each other in decades, and he's already dug up unpleasant memories. And nobody's wearing a mask, still.
Well, at least we got vaccinated. And I have extra hand sanitizer. Let's go meet your mom and dad.
I'm telling you, they will be very depressing. They are super conservative kaiju deniers. Speaking of which, that huge kaiju started heading south, according to the latest news reports. But the storm prevents him from being followed by drones and helicopters, so they're not sure where he is now.
You think he's coming this way?
With any luck.
Honestly, I've never seen a real huge kaiju in person, just the smaller ones at work. I have seen pictures in books and, of course, on TV, though. How exciting.
Exciting? That kaiju would stomp this hotel flat.
I know. Can you imagine?
You're weird.
No, you are.
Anyway, I'm going down to the restaurant. It's called the Swamp Angel.
I'm going with you. Let me get my fancy dress.
Julie and I headed down to the Swamp Angel, which, like most hotel restaurants in small towns close to the highway, served as the local watering hole. It was a smattering of baseball memorabilia, some stuffed coots, which looked like black ducks, and general late 70s Restoration-era paneling. In a crowd of faces, both familiar and unfamiliar, I saw my parents. They were with a couple I didn't recognize.
Oh, look, who's here? Our big city boy.
This is one of my other kids, Jim. Jim, this is the bride, Belle Buns, and her father, Ray.
Nice to meet you.
How y'all doing? I'm Ray, father of this little gal right here, ain't you?
Dad.
Oh, don't mind her. She's just cranky because she's on her period.
Dad?
People call me Big Ray where I'm from because I'm big for my britches. But you can call me anything. Just don't call me late for dinner.
Dad.
Hi, I'm Jim, one of Bob's cousins. This is a friend of mine, Julie.
Nice to meet you all.
Belle went back to her phone. It was an oversized phone with a glitter case, and I could see she was texting someone with a lot of punctuation. Belle looked really angry and self-absorbed. She looked young for Bob, like barely 18 young. On her head was a tiara with a mini veil, and she was wearing a stained sash that said, "Getting hitched."
Just saying how you work in a big place with lots of liberals.
Oh no, it's one of them kaiju. Look out, slopsis alert.
I'm pretty sure he meant socialist, not that he knew what that meant either. It did amuse me for a brief second that he did know what solipsist meant, And he was being ironic in a subtle mockery that since one could not be sure if anything exists outside of one's own mind, that being a kaiju denier would be more plausible. So I asked him, "Are you being epistemic?" Big Ray looked at me strange while Julie burst out laughing. At least someone got the joke. We sat with my parents, Big Ray and Silent Belle, for a short while until the bride excused herself and left. Big Ray appeared to drift off into a half slumber while my parents asked Julie a ton of questions. Julie was polite, despite the fact my parents tossed her various hooks to get her to admit that I don't have a real job. Julie defended me in a few places, but slowly went to her phone and started texting me.
I just got an alert that the kaiju has just reached Akron.
No big loss. Have you seen that city? It's like Cleveland, but without all the Cleveland glory.
What will we do if it gets here?
I don't know. Call work for a pickup?
Too bad about Akron. Until 1990, it was considered the rubber capital of the world.
How do you know that?
Dumb facts teachers know. I am full of them. Ask me about the breeding life cycle of the pinworm.
You certainly know how to woo a man.
What's so funny?
Mom, things are kind of dicey at work. I'm going to have to leave tomorrow right after the ceremony.
How come you didn't tell me you were dating?
I'm not dating. We're just friends.
She's just darling, except for the hair. Honey, you need to tame that wild mane you got.
I'm sorry, it has a mind of its own. It was handed down to me from one ancestor to the next since 1570, when my family was afflicted by this terrible curse. You see, one day, my great, 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 not so great, great Midland great great grandmother, Queen Juliet II, angered an old sea witch over a dispute of a long distance bill in a shared apartment that they had in Bristol.
Oh my. Really?
So just be careful. It could happen to you.
Mom, she's kidding. You probably shouldn't make personal remarks. How about we talk about something else? How's the wedding going?
Badly. I'm afraid. Your cousin Bob got in a fight with the best man and the ushers. All the groomsmen are threatening to leave.
Oh wow. Why?
You know Bob and his obsession with Catholic schoolgirl skirts?
Kilts, but go on.
Well, it seems that the best man is refusing to wear one, and 3 of the ushers didn't bother to pick up their rentals. They had a huge fight about it. At rehearsal today, one was wearing it like a cape, and when he was told that he had to wrap it around his waist, he asked, "You mean like a bathroom towel?" And Cousin Bob threw him out.
Threw him out?
Yes! He's been banned from the wedding. Jim, why are you and your girlfriend wearing those face masks?
I don't know. When I get a girlfriend, I'll ask her.
So there I was, sitting in a squeaky vinyl seat that was probably wiped down with the same rag they use on the tables, when people all around me were speaking about me in the third person. I wondered when I vanished. Or did I ever exist? Did I die? Is this the afterlife? I certainly hope that the afterlife serves good mozzarella sticks.
Again, Julie is just a friend of your granddaughter, Jess. She's staying with me until she gets her teaching job squared away, and nothing else. The masks and social distancing are still mandatory for this state, thank you.
My heart is broken yet again. No matter what the song says, I am getting my young, fresh fellows tape back now. You think this place has a waitress, or will I have to go up to the bar? I can hardly see over the bar without being on tiptoe. God, I hate being short. Still, I can fit into that Messerschmitt KR-175 that Cousin It drove. Maybe I could marry him. Oh my God, can you imagine the hair clogs in the shower we'd have?
Julie, we can hear you.
How embarrassing.
Julie's right, though. We can't talk about her in the third person. Say, I see a lot of kids here. I thought Cousin Bob said specifically no children.
Well, you know how it is. Hard to get a sitter on such short notice.
Mom, they had 6 months since the invitation.
But kids are the reason for marriage. They are a blessing.
Actually, according to Evan Gershman in his work, Same Sex Marriage in the Constitution, he said even within Western culture, definition of marriage have careened from one extreme to the other and everywhere in between. As procreation is not deemed necessary anymore, the traditions of marriage have varied from health insurance benefits to polyandry and open relationships.
I heard Julie say same-sex marriage and watched my mom's ears actually turn off in slow motion. I cringed at my mother's response, but thankfully, at that moment, the lights went out
Oh,
and they came back on again.
hooray!
Well, they have been flickering all day since the storm started. That nice young man at the bar told us during heavy rains, sometimes the power goes out for days, even weeks.
Great.
Oh, isn't it romantic? We could have the wedding by candlelight.
Sounds perfectly OSHA safe. Open flames, old church, alcohol. What could go wrong?
Jim, you are pretty clueless sometimes.
Yeah.
The lights went on and off all night. After we ate a heaping dish of mozzarella sticks, Julie and I retired to our room sick to our stomachs. We just couldn't eat like we were in our 20s anymore. In between long, painful cheese cramps on the potty, we watched the news channel to get reports on the storm and the location of the kaiju heading our way. Seems they lost track of it again about 200 miles north of here. It was getting close. When the power went out for good around 11 p.m., I set the alarm on my phone and we fell asleep. We woke to more rain. The parking lot looked like a shallow lake. The power was still out. Julie and I got dressed and went back down to the Swamp Angel to see if they had a breakfast buffet run by sterno cans and chafing dishes or something. We arrived during some sort of informal meeting.
Okay, listen up. The southern bridge is washed out and they're not letting any traffic in or out. Luckily, St. Cloda of Rogers is just north of here. Now, given these new developments, there have been a few changes. One, and I'm sorry to say this, Reverend Iden Finn will not be able to get here.
Oh,
I know. We're still working on a way to get the deposit back. However, he called around and assured us a replacement will be waiting at the church. Second, I have not heard from catering. Rest assured, we're working on it.
How come?
Dad, sit down.
No, honey, let me handle this. How come?
Thirdly, as you may have heard.
Hey. I am not done speaking yet.
Yes, you are, Dad.
You may be an adult, but I can still put you over my knee and spank you.
My God, Dad, sit down.
I got no
Thirdly, as you may have heard, my best man and roommate in college, Kennard Mavington, have decided to part ways. Kennard took some liberties with his formal dress, which we will not speak about, and he, along with my groomsmen, decided to go back to their respective towns and do some reflecting on the behavior during such a serious occasion.
I don't know what they thought about. I suspect it was the kilts, but Cousin Bob was so irritating during his announcements that already I was on the groomsman's side over whatever it was. Yeah, if I had to stand next to him in a church, I think I would have punched him in the back of the knees to make him fall. It's amazing how all that comes back to you once you hear him speak again, even decades later. Cousin Bob made a last-minute replacement for the best man position with his future brother-in-law, Trevor. Trevor was a lanky, pierced, heavily tattooed young man who jumped up on the small restaurant platform when he heard his name and made two heavy metal horn signs with his hands. Cousin Bob then did some kind of, I could only guess, Arthurian-style ceremony with a sword, which he then bequeathed unto him. Trevor then started swinging the sword, making lightsaber sounds with his mouth, and accidentally hit some random restaurant wall decor behind him. Twice.
He seems fun.
I'll bet you he hurts himself with that sword by the end of the day.
I bet he doesn't make it out of the bar without hurting himself. Sword or no sword.
It's a bet.
Come on, God of OSHA accidents. Mommy needs a new pair of shoes.
Cousin Bob then sung some kind of song, supposedly in Lowland Scots, which was accompanied by the thickest of Celtic music from a CD playing on a boombox. And then the batteries died. Bob continued to sing and then stopped to just silence. I couldn't tell if the crowd was stunned, bored, or hypnotized.
That was beautiful. Beautiful.
Dad, sit down.
Shut up. I'm having a moment.
Dad.
After that, most of the crowd broke up and Trevor jumped from the stage, sword in hand, where it stuck on a rafter after he fell to the floor, crashing into a fake potted tree and knocking over a small table next to the buffet that had a coffee urn.
Yes! Pay up, Jim.
He ruined the coffee, my only hope of surviving this thing.
Quick, maybe we can suck what's left out of the tablecloth.
The rest of the crowd went to get ready. Julie and I were already dressed for the wedding, so we just grazed on the buffet leftovers to feed ourselves and kill time. I checked my phone. The kaiju was estimated less than 50 miles from our location a few hours ago, but it was hard to get signal in the valley, especially with everyone using the wireless now that the power was out. Thankfully, I always carried a few batteries for backup, and we also had my car if we needed it.
There's still some crusty bits of scrambled eggs if you want them. I found a pancake that's still kind of flexible.
Nah, I'm good. Thank goodness the bar has its own coffee maker.
You actually have any kind of plan if we run into the kaiju?
I ran into my cousin yesterday, so I'm still stinging from that. No, but I am not too worried. Generally, if you just do something sensible, like get out of its way or don't shoot at it, you're pretty safe.
I have to admit, I wasn't worried until you were worried.
I'm not too worried. Usually the army or something clears everyone out before it arrives, and I haven't seen one hint of olive green yet.
It's kind of exciting, though. I mean, a real die kaiju. Super big. The ones I work with they only get as big as a car.
Okay, when I say not to be worried, I don't mean excited to see one. Remember, they kill thousands of people every year.
I just feel safe with you, Jim.
Why?
I'm gonna see if the yogurts are still cool.
Julie just seemed weird at times. I mean, she knew she wasn't my girlfriend, right? I can't have a girlfriend. I make a mess out of every relationship, and she'll get tired of me and leave me like all the others. Then I'll be a confused wreck, guilty about how relieved I feel, and then have to deal with yet another reminder from my coworkers that I shouldn't date people. Well, the rain let up a little. So Julie and I decided to go early before it started pouring again. After wading in shin-deep river water, we got to my Prius and drove north towards St. Clough of Rogers. Right before we got to the church parking lot, 2 military trucks drove past us the other way. Uh-oh.
What?
Nothing. I just want to find someplace dry to park. I found a place right next to the preacher's reserved parking space, and we quickly dodged the misty drizzle and let ourselves in. But before I ran into the church, I heard helicopters in the distance. This could not be good.
You look worried.
Weddings make me nervous.
Relax, you got me. I'll keep us entertained.
Julie gave me a side squeeze, and I awkwardly hugged her head. See, this is always why it would never work out. Couples should be similar heights. But as we left the vestibule to the main part of the church, I realized that there were bigger problems. First, the nave of the church was small, like Manhattan apartment small. It looked like it could fit maybe 30 people. There were only 5 rows of pews in a tiny, tiny chancel, and an altar that looked like you could clear it in one large jump.
Hello, I am Reverend Jim Jones. I was called by Reverend Finn. Anyway, is this Belinda? How are you, my love?
No, we're not the bride and groom. I guess they're not here yet. We're just friends of the groom. I mean, family, you know.
Oh dear, I am so sorry. You're the 5th couple I've done to this today.
Today? How many weddings did you have today?
Oh, just this one.
Okay, all right if we sit over here.
Fine by me.
The preacher seemed young and nervous. He introduced himself to another couple that came in, but it turned out they were the florists. They said that the roads were being blocked off and they were trapped there. Also, the amount of flowers ordered didn't look like it would fit in this tiny space. It was a good thing we came early. The pews filled up quickly. After that, it was standing room only.
Want some?
Julie had stolen a few mini boxes of cereal from the hotel. She was eating Fruit Loops directly from the box, which I would later share as the day's origami of disaster unfolded. I heard more helicopters fly over. I checked my phone to see if any news of the Kaiju movement, but inside the stone building, I got zero signal. Damn it. More and more people crammed into the tiny church. Even though it was kind of cold outside, the inside of the church became uncomfortably warm and stuffy. Everyone started talking until it became almost shouting level. Then children shrieking, even though this was supposed to be a child-free wedding. I put in work earplugs and offered Julie the same.
No thanks. Those gummies are too chewy for me.
No, you stick them in your ear.
I know, silly.
As Julie stuffed her ears off to the side, I saw the preacher in the deacon's office slam his forehead with an open palm over and over. Like how I used to punish myself in junior high. Then I saw him take a prescription bottle, fist some pills into his mouth, followed by a flask. Then he slapped his face back and forth a few times in front of a mirror. There was no power in the church either, so light was only coming from the stained glass windows. Once in a while, I'd see the shadow of a low flight of helicopters and aircraft. Nobody else seemed to notice or care. The screaming of dozens of small kids started to fill the space.
Weren't we supposed to start soon? Where's the bride and groom?
I don't know. I don't have cell signal in here.
What are those planes and helicopters doing outside?
Well, we are pretty close to the last place the Kaiju was seen. They're probably looking for it.
How could they lose something that huge?
Man, if I had a nickel every time I said that at work.
I am nervous, Jim.
I know, me too.
No, you're not. You just look jaded, like you're accepting your fate.
Perhaps I am. I've built up this defense after all the crap I've been through. Either something will happen or it won't. I can't control it. So just focus on what you can do. I am here in an overcrowded tiny church at a wedding of a person I forgot I despised, and a giant kaiju is out stomping on slow rednecks outside. What can I do? I can sit here, be counted as present, and then we can get in the Prius, go back to the hotel, and drive the hell home. Provided the passage to the north hasn't been secured by the military.
What if we die?
Well, at least we'll die together.
That's so sweet. But you still owe me $40 in that bet last night.
We never agreed on an amount.
I did. I just didn't tell you.
That's not fair.
Attention.
Ooh, shh. The movie's about to start.
This isn't a movie. There's nothing like a teacher saying shush in that voice they have that can shut you up in a second.
We have a bit of a delay. They are conducting military exercises outside. I'm not sure why, but they can't be real. Something about kaiju. I know. Liberals are everywhere making up stories. Probably some pranksters from Columbus. Now, please, everyone take a deep breath and let it out.
I swear the air got twice as stale when he said that, like I'd inhaled cigarettes and chiclets directly into my sinuses. The menthol was thick with this crowd.
Now, there's a bit more people here than I realized. I was told that it was going to be at St. Cloda of Rogers, which has a maximum capacity of about 40 people legally. Well, we're about to test that theory here. Okay.
Before the preacher could faint, the groom arrived.
I'm sorry, folks. I was in the back for a while, but I couldn't squeeze through until now. Belle is here, and we're ready to start the ceremony. Fine with you?
I haven't discussed anything with you yet.
Reverend Finn said he gave you his notes.
I never got them.
Bit late to do anything about it now. I'll lead. Okay, we're about to begin. You, stand here, and then Trevor.
Yeah?
Come up here.
Oh, wow. Now?
Yes, now. We're going to begin.
All right. Best man trainer coming. Choo choo.
As Trevor squeezed past everyone, it occurred to me that his confidence and enthusiasm way overshot the role. Soon he was crowd surfing, crawling over people who were carrying him hand over hand to the altar.
Did you feel that?
What?
Those thumps?
I was about to ask what thumps when I felt them too. I had felt those thumps before. They were thunderous, deep bass noises, like a sound check at a rave. Steady, slow, like making a Sousa march on Quaaludes.
I smell beets.
The sweet smell of pickled beets was a smell you never forgot. It was a live kaiju, usually emanating from them in a fine mist, and that must have meant it was very close. Suddenly the church was plunged into darkness as the natural light from outside was blocked. The only light was from the altar candles and dozens of cell phones recording like a rock concert. That roar sounded less than 100 feet away, which given the kaiju's height was probably straight up.
God, Jim, I just wet my pants.
Don't do that, they can smell fear.
Really?
No, I'm kidding. Oh!
You fuck monkey.
Julie was really scared. That's probably why she punched me in the shoulder. Years from now, my doctor would point to the injury on an x-ray. I didn't know what to do for her, so I just hugged her tightly in the darkness.
Okay, everybody, we're about to begin.
Yeah.
Unbelievable. They really didn't believe in kaiju. The damn thing was almost on top of us with their cell phones recording, and nobody so much as batted an eye. The wedding was still on. How was this possible?
I don't want to die, Jim.
You won't die.
I don't want you to die either.
No one's going to die. I'm not that lucky. Unless the mother of the bride gets her hairspray sculpture too close to one of those candles, I can actually see the ozone layer part above her.
Hold me, Jim.
I am holding you.
Roar! Hold me tighter.
If I hold you any tighter, I'll be on the other side of you.
Don't steal quotes from Groucho Marx.
I held her as tight as I could and saw a single tear dribble down her face.
I want to live, Jim. Please. Because you still owe me $60.
I thought it was 40.
You negotiate well under pressure, Jim.
Suddenly, the room flooded with light. The kaiju was moving away. I heard helicopters and gunfire. They got fainter and fainter. But the worst was yet to come. The wedding was still going. I didn't think we could possibly fit more people in. It was like the DC Metro during rush hour. The bride shuffled through the throngs in her complicated poofy dress. The father of the bride was holding her hand, not to lead her to the altar, but the bride was holding him upright.
Hello, Reverend.
Daddy, you sit down now.
Don't mind if I do.
Her dad sat right on the floor between the bride and groom at the feet of the preacher and then leaned on him and passed out.
Do you, Robert Raymond Reynolds, take this woman, oh, Jesus,
Belindra. Belindra.
Belinda. Again, it's Belinda. No R.
Right. What she said.
here we are. Belinda, Bondurant Buns, take this man, Robert Raymond Reynolds.
Wait. I have a poem I'd like to read.
Oh.
I will spare you the poem, all 99 lines of it, which were also provided in Old English in the program book in the vestibule. Most people didn't see it because of the crowds, and since the cover was a tartan, they probably assumed it was a fabric sampler. The part that was interesting was where Trevor, who again kept winking at the crowd like he was flirting with them about how awesome he was, had to raise aloft his magic sword and recite something in Lowland Scot, which sounded like Vince when he was screaming to a user over his Bluetooth. At some point, he screamed out, "Sword of Omens, give me sight beyond sight," and made up some Thundercats theme song with his lips. Given Cousin Bob's expression, this was probably unscripted. The bride the entire time was texting on her phone. That's when I realized my left hand was getting cold. Julie was still gripping onto my arm so tightly she was cutting off the blood flow. Her face was buried into my shoulder. I nudged her.
I can't watch.
Come on, the wedding's not that bad. Again, she punched me in the arm. As the rest of the ceremony unfolded, it came to the part where the bride and groom had to exchange rings. Trevor reached into his face and pulled out 2 piercings.
Ooh.
Maybe they were the actual rings for the ceremony. Maybe they were another impromptu move by Trevor. Either way, this caused the bride to wrinkle her face in disgust.
I knight thee. Arise, sirloin of beef. Arise, Earl of Cloves. Arise, Duke of Brittingham. Arise, Baron of Munchausen. Arise, essence of myrrh, milk of magnesia, quarter of 10.
Quitting, Trevor?
With each arise, Trevor was knighting his older sister until he accidentally hit her on the back of the head with the sword.
Okay, I guess that's it. Oh, wait, no. I now pronounce you man and wife. Kiss the bride. You're man and wife.
Da, 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 da. It works so well. That bit works so
Never
well.
passed
over
so
Zoom,
well.
yeah. Yeah. Anyways, the bride and groom, both of whom looked already jaded and annoyed with the entire thing, shoved past everyone to the exit.
Out of my way!
Eventually, the crowd filed out and then until there were just a few people left, mostly the cleaning crew.
Oh, I didn't see you guys were still here.
Julie won't let go of my arm.
Well, you'll have to leave. The wedding is only paid up till 1 p.m.
Julie, I need my arm back now.
No, I got it fair and square. You weren't using it.
I need it to drive.
I'll drive.
You can't drive my car holding onto my arm.
Okay.
We got outside and the rain had let up. There were downed trees, smoking wrecked military vehicles, and huge footprints everywhere. A few medical trucks were tending to the wounded. Even worse, the bride and groom were still there because their limo hadn't arrived. Before anyone volunteered my Prius, Julie and I got in the car and drove back to the hotel, steering around the huge bomb craters and footprints.
Wow. Just holy cow.
Yeah, the scenery is beautiful out here. Look, a cow.
I mean, all this destruction.
What? Oh, I've seen worse. You should see what they do to buildings.
You know, when Jess told me about you, I first thought, he's so brave working with real kaiju. Then you did that class interview, and I thought, what a good man nerd. But as we drive past all this stuff and you act like you've seen it all, and you're not even scared, and then I realized you're kind of an idiot.
Great. I am the Neapolitan ice cream of kaiju workers. Now you see why I can't date me. Now you see why you can't date me. This is my daily work. Only more crazy, more boring, and more idiotic.
I am in love with all 3 flavors, so help me God.
Julie, you can't date me. All my dates end badly. They end up hating me, making HR a mess for me, kidnapping me, or shooting me in the head.
Jim, pull over for a second.
I pulled over next to what was once part of a tank. A wounded soldier reached a bloody arm from the pile of rubble, clawed his way to my car, and pulled up to my door.
Doc, you gotta help me. I can't die just yet. I got 8 more credits left at Blaze Star Community College Pascagoula campus. You gotta save me.
I'm just an IT guy.
Oh, well, in that case, can you tell me why my laptop is running so slow?
Open up a ticket and I'll call you back.
Well, you see, what it did was there was this pop-up and it said that the widow women in my neighborhood, they were going to be horny. But when I actually clicked through, turned out they was kind of lumpy. And ever since then, I've been getting all these ads for erectile dysfunction, which ain't a problem. It ain't a problem.
Okay, well, you just open the ticket, everything will be fine.
Okay, I tried to reboot. I tried it. It didn't work. I did a different mouse and everything.
Put that all in the ticket. Yeah, put it
all in the ticket. Away.
It's a Microsoft Surface. They told me these things were good. Oh, damn it. Screw all y'all.
Jim, I have to say something and I want you to listen. We have been living together for months. I have seen you at your best and I've seen you at your worst.
Ooh, what was my best?
Shut up for a second. There is nothing you could say or do to make me not want to date you. You hear me? Nothing.
I get it. You want to ask me out, but it's not that simple.
I'm not asking. I am going to be direct.
Julie.
You're going to date me. I'm going to date you. We are going to date the hell out of each other. Got it? Yeah, Jim, this is going to happen. Now you can give in now and we can have furious, passionate sex, or sex even, or I can make strong and passionate love to you and you can give in after that.
That doesn't sound like a choice. Can we sleep on this?
Listen, Jim, I am 45 years old. Get it? 45. I don't have time to fuck around. My biological clock is a goddamn time bomb and it's ready to blow. I didn't spend years in junior high being a horse girl reading adult romances for nothing. I have needs, Jim. I need a smart, nerdy, brave man. And that is you. Right here, right now. You want it. You know it. You want this. And buddy, it's gonna happen.
Sounds like she needs the D, Jim.
Will you just go
away?
Oh, what is a ticket anyway?
You crawled here, didn't you? Crawl away.
Sorry, I can't feel my legs.
And
look,
Julie,
I got my laptop right here. Look at it. Look at it. This is the.
I need this moment, okay? Crawl back into your damn tank and wait for proper medical care.
Man, being in the Army sucks. This was just to pay for Blaze Star Community College, and now I got to do 4 years of this crap? Damn.
And Julie was right. I did. I knew it was bad for me. I knew it would lead to yet another heartbreak, workplace joke sessions, and probably Ashley coming out of nowhere and messing it all up. But I could not look into the abyss of those dark pupils and dark brown eyes behind those huge glasses of hers and not want to fall all the way into the darkness of sexual bliss topped with the bright red fury of Scottish curls. Anyway, an hour later, I knew I would have to take the Prius in for some interior detailing.
I need a towel.
You can shower when we get back to the room.
No, no. I need a towel now. There is nothing I can salvage from this skirt that will protect my modesty.
You told me to tear it off.
I was living in the moment. I'll just wear your sweat jacket around my legs and pretend I'm a 90s kid waiting for the school bus at the bus stop. You got a backpack I could have? And a necklace made of puka shells?
Wise ass.
Better than being a dumbass.
After we got washed up, I was still in shock with what happened. I mean, what? Did she just say sex is going to happen? There was still some 12-year-old part of me that couldn't believe it. I saw a girl naked. One of like, what, 4 times in my life? We went down to mingle with the other wedding guests in the restaurant. The limo was apparently crushed by the kaiju at some point, but luckily, someone had a Buick that could fit the bride's dress. While waiting to have the Buick cleared out, somebody realized that the back of her wedding dress was stained with a hefty amount of blood. It turned out that being whacked by the sword had actually cut into the back of her scalp, and like most head wounds, even superficial ones, it bled extensively. The bride got patched up, but the back of her dress was ruined. The photos had to be all taken from the front. I tried to make light of all the rain, but it really was apparent that the bride was really starting to wear down. The wedding photos came out terrible. The groom was grimacing, Trevor was goofing around and photobombing, and the bride looked tired and pissed off. In addition, all the added stress was making everyone else fight with each other. The children who weren't supposed to be there were crying and being bratty, and there was no food to be had because the catering was still stuck somewhere because of the kaiju attack. The hotel comped us all free food, mostly because their power was out, and it would have gone bad anyways. Julie and I packed our things and drove home. I was told that later that night, the honeymoon night, the bride and groom had such a big fight with one another that the bride actually packed her stuff and her maid of honor drove her back to her house where she spent the night there. The next morning she came back and everyone just kind of blamed her being crabby on her head wound. The marriage was annulled 3 days later, not just because the bride and groom were always fighting, but cousin Bob ended up sleeping with Trevor when he came out of the closet. But for the present moment, things were going to be different for a while, and I hoped forever.
Yay.
So we've got a few minutes left. We can do a Q&A here. So
What the hell did I just listen to?
if you didn't know now, you know. If you didn't know before, you know now.
It will take just a minute. My laptop is right here.
So we have the question and answer system here. You can click on the question Q&A button at the bottom of your Zoom screen to add something if you want to, or we can just kind of fuck around as a cast.
We do that so well.
Yes,
Yeah, that's true.
Yes.
This was actually
That's all you
based.
do, Jim.
This is based on a real wedding a friend of mine had back in the 90s. So there were some things that were added and subtracted for humor's sake, but yeah, it was a disastrous wedding. It was somebody who thought he was Scottish because he was like 1/16 Scottish, made everyone wear kilts. He was an insufferable person in a church that was made for a lot less than the number of people that showed up. And there were other things that happened, but it was one of those things where I was like, damn, really? That sounds like the worst wedding ever. And he said, like, well, no, not really, because the power went out in the hotel, so the hotel had to give us all of their food right away. And so so he said we had everything.
So nobody's asking any questions. Got a lot of thank yous coming up in the chat. That's great. We love putting on this Kaiju Live. It is the highlight of my Kaiju year.
It's a lot of fun writing it. It really is. It's just like I would write it even if no one was listening. It's like one of those type of projects.
I do apologize to all of you who are looking forward to hearing me do Anita. Anita got this year off, so I got to break out my Southern accent instead of
That was Anita's brother, right? No.
Yeah, well, I almost went there. I was this close to doing Anita's brother, and then I was like, no, and I really had to throw the Pascagoula joke in there for V. So,
well,
Thanks.
I just submitted the scripts for June, so it's going to be kind of like meet Julie's parents, who are quite extraordinary people that own a bed and breakfast in Hawaii.
I mean, is there a character? I mean, Greg, you shut up.
Mm-hmm.
Is rest of the cast? Is there a single character in This Kaiju Life who is not amazing? I mean, this man comes up with a new amazing character for me to give a voice to every week or three.
I know, and I try. At first, like he would tell me that, and I was like, all right, I'm gonna make it like you're a Southern person, but you're a senator who was raised by British parents, who has a lisp, or just like try to make it as hard as possible, and just every once in a while he pronounces things that I don't like. The La Quinta is Quinta, and the St. Cloda of Rogers it was just an obscure British pop reference, and I think he pronounced it probably the correct Irish way. So, but sometimes people comment like, it's like, well, that's not a really good Cajun accent. And the best thing, and Nobilis came up with this, is the concept of the unreliable narrator. So I can also retcon things. It's like, but you said he didn't have a brother. Unreliable narrator.
I mean, anybody complains about the accents I do. It's like, I'm playing a character. I'm playing Jim, and then Jim is doing the accents for all these people.
Yeah,
so
he's doing it in his own head. Yeah.
So if it's a terrible Cajun accent, that's because Jim is terrible at doing a Cajun accent.
Exactly. That's what he thinks like Anita talks, and probably in real life she sounds completely normal.
Oh, in real life she sounds like Charlie.
Yeah. That's right.
I don't know about that now, Shed. No way. I don't know.
Greg, I absolutely need to thank you for the line, crawl back into your damn tank and wait for proper medical care. It really got me through this week.
I thought like, the stereotype, like, medic, I'm hit, and it's like, I'm IT, I'm not a medic. My laptop, it won't boot.
Right.
Yeah.
Oh.
I hope you didn't object to my
Ad-libs.
I had to bring back Blaze-Star Community College from last year. I did.
We expect it from you.
Yeah.
I mean, we should just do it like Mork and Mindy scripts and have
Yes.
your lines just say, Charlie says something clever,
Speaking of needing technical help, I don't know how to comment.
Oh.
The
offstage voice.
Yeah.
Put it in ticket.
I'm just
Wait a
pleased
second.
my dog didn't go wild during this thing, hearing other people's
I'm
voices.
sure I could get her barking.
Oh, she was?
I'm sure I could get her barking.
Oh, yeah. Well, let's not get her barking.
Survey says pass.
Yeah.
All right.
Totally.
Well, we are coming up at the end of the time here, and I think we don't have anybody asking any questions. Okay. You know what? Here's something I would like to do. Greg, you have in past This Kaiju Life lives, you have asked for suggestions from the crowd. Now we don't want to have them show up in the recording. So if you want to suggest things to happen in This Kaiju Life, throw them into the chat, or hey Tech. Okay, Morgan says, I hear this is a regular podcast. Where can I find it? The URL is kaiju.libsyn.com. That's where the podcast is.
If you
can
Google
also-
This Kaiju Life, it's usually the first hit.
Yep, and it'll come up if you just Google, if you search for This Kaiju Life in your podcatcher, it'll come up. That is yeah.
The chat is recorded. There's
Okay.
a transcript of the chat. I
Okay.
don't know about Q&A. it would be safer to go probably into the Discord hallway.
Yeah, let's go to
I would-
Discord for that. So
Yep.
which room are we in the Discord after this?
Baltimore 2.
Baltimore 2. Okay. Then we'll go to Baltimore 2.
I'll put
in
the link
Baltimore
up here
2.
in just a second.
Awesome. We'll go to
And we'll go there and we'll have suggestions. Suggestion
Yeah.
time.
And the
All right,
cast will be
so-
able to open up
one
like
thing
a-
I want to add is we really only have budget. Our marketing budget only allows us to have word of mouth, which is actually the best kind of marketing, but also
Right.
hardest to get.
Yes.
So please let other people know, share it with other people. I'd like to keep doing this. I'd like Nobilis to get the recognition that he deserves, because it was his idea for me to actually start writing for this, and I'm very grateful for Nobilis for this, and I want to see him get a lot of hits and stuff like that.
Well, Greg, thank you for keeping on writing for this, because there's no way I'd be able to keep up with this. Anybody who listens to my other podcast knows how that is.
I'm thinking about doing a novel at this point, because I looked at the number of scripts that I have saved, and it's like several hundred pages.
Yes,
but I'd have to rewrite it in novel format, which I don't mind doing. So
no, yeah, there's
project-
definitely a novel here, at least a novel's worth of material and everything that's going on.
Yeah.
You're gonna have a fist fight on who's gonna do the audiobook, but
No. I know exactly who's going to do the
Red-
audiobook. It's V.
done by Eddie. I've already called Eddie Izzard.
All right, so see you in.
We're not
see you
doing
in
the audiobook full cast? No.
See you guys in Discord. We're done here.
All right, thank you guys.
Bye.
Thank you for
Bye.
coming.
not everybody. Oh man.
I'll